Hello. Today I'm going to present Chapter 1 of the book Orientalism, written by Edward Said. Structurally, the book is divided into three parts. Chapter 1 talks about the scope of Orientalism, which focuses on Western representation of the Orient, on Orientalizing the Oriental, as Said puts it. Chapter 2 is Orientalist structures and restructures, and Chapter 3, Orientalism Now. You find analysis of contemporary Orientalism. It talks about the continuity of the practices of British and French Orientalism in the contemporary American discourses on Orient. Well, now the introduction. Why did Edward Said take out the concept of Orientalism? Orientalism, Said argues, is a way of coming to terms with the Orient that is based on the Orient's special place in European Western experience. This quote is from page 1 in the book Orientalism. The term Orient is often used as an alternative term to the East. As a location, Orient or East may be taken to extend from those countries that begin with Islam on the eastern Mediterranean and stretch through Asia. Said's Orientalism is chiefly concerned with the Islamic Middle East as the Orient and attends to the constructedness of the Orient. Now, Orientalism, the book. Orientalism was published in 1978. It's a canonical text of cultural studies. It has challenged the concept of Orientalism, or the difference between East and the West. With the start of European colonization, the European came in contact with the lesser developed countries of the East. They found the culture and civilization of the East exotic and established the science of Orientalism, which was the study of the Orientals. The Europeans divided the world into two parts, the East and the West, the Occident and the Orient, or the civilized or the uncivilized. This was totally an artificial boundary, and it was laid on the basis of the concept of them and us, or theirs and ours. The Europeans used Orientalism to define themselves. The Europeans defined themselves as the superior race compared to the Orientals, and they justified their colonization by this concept. Edward Said challenged the West about the misrepresentation of the Orient. Said deconstructed the Orientalism view of the Orient by using the post-structural principles. Said constructed a literary discursive field through language and representation. He was following the concept of Foucault, which is relationship between power and knowledge. Said also deconstructed what European Orientalists have thought about Islam. The description about the Orient contains negative connotation, and the Orientalists who have established the binary opposition process misrepresent the Orient. Now, Chapter 1, the scope of Orientalism. Edward Said explains how the science of Orientalism developed and how the Orientalists started considering the Orientals as non-human beings. The Orientalists divided the world into two parts. An imaginary geographical line was drawn between what was ours and what was theirs. The Orientals were regarded as uncivilized people, gullible, and the Westerns said that since they were the refined race, it was their duty to civilize the people, and in order to achieve their goals, they had to colonize and rule the Orients. The Europeans said that Orients were incapable of running a government and that they had the right to represent the Orientalists in the West all by themselves. In doing so, the Europeans shaped the Orientals the way they perceived them, or in short, they were Orientalizing the Orients. Various teams were sent to the East, where the Orientalists silently observed the Orientals by living with them, and whatever the Orientals said and did was recorded irrespective of its context and projected to the civilized world of the West. This resulted in the generalization: whatever was seen by the Orientalist was associated with the Oriental culture, no matter if it's the irrational action of an individual. The most important use of Orientalism to the Europeans was that they defined themselves by defining the Orientals. For example, qualities such as lazy, irrational, uncivilized, gullible were related to the Orientals, and automatically the Europeans became active, rational, civilized, and sophisticated. Thus, in order to achieve this goal, it was necessary for the Orientalist to generalize the culture of the Orients. Another feature of Orientalism was that the culture of the Orientalist was explained to the Europeans by linking them to the Western world. For example, Islam was made into Mohammedanism because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the founder of this religion, and since the founder of Christ is called Christianity. We have to note here that no Muslim was aware of this terminology, and it was completely a Western created term to which the Muslim had no say at all. Conclusion: all that has been stated by Western scholars is merely words, language, which have created a veil of representation that allows the East to be spoken of from a position of power, not truth. Said states that by limiting definitive terms such as Orient, East, West, Islam, Arab, these have vague meanings and dire consequences on humanity. So, the book provides a critique of any form of cultural prejudice and misrepresentation. It has supplied the methodology of writing back to power. It has opened up the possibility of the silent not only against the Western cultural hegemony, but other hegemonic practices in different locales. It has paved the way of deconstructing. So the book has proved most influential in the area of post-colonial discourse analysis. This book is considered to be meant for post-colonial studies.